Pain, addiction, and redemption. Those who care about themselves and about other people find that we are all dealing with the problem of pain. And when we look around us, we see a problem of addiction. People are medicating because of their pain. In Ephesians chapter 4, we see that Paul, dealing with Greeks in the first century, saw things that we see today in our culture. So the first century Greek culture looks like ours. We have the same source of addiction, we have the same symptoms of addiction, and we have the offer of the same salvation. The addiction cycle starts with pain. Pain is something I don't want, and so I harden my heart and reject how I feel. I find that I'm alone in my pain, and I say, God is not my friend, He's my enemy. He didn't help me. So I turn away and I use things so I don't feel pain. I medicate my pain. And then I become frustrated because I can't control my pain. It doesn't help. And so I find I am numb. I don't feel anything. So now, stage 7, I indulge more and more. I medicate more and more. I try harder. I look around on me and say, what can I do? How can I have more pleasure? How can I reduce my pain? Next, the last stage, I am insatiable and corrupt. More and more of things that don't help. More and more of things that are ungodly. And so I am desperate and I hide or I rebel. And all of these things cause me to reject myself because I'm a failure, and that causes me more pain. And so I go around the cycle again instead of coming out. How do I react when I see people who are slaves to their sin, who are addicts? Do I complain and condemn them? Am I better than the people I see around me? If I am a born again Christian, I've experienced deliverance from these behaviors, but I still have the same root problem. I have pain in my life. Paul describes what we have left behind and how to overcome the results of pain. With the Lord's authority, I say this: live no longer as the Gentiles do, for they are hopelessly confused. Their minds are full of darkness. They wander far from the life God gives them because they have closed their minds and hardened their hearts against Him. They have no sense of shame. They live for lustful pleasure and eagerly practice every kind of impurity. Let us look at how we react to pain in our lives. We need to feel in order to empathize, and to feel how the Lord feels. Because if we cut ourselves off from our feelings, we will intellectualize and say, well, I'm all right. Or, those people are bad. Or, I'm trying hard. So we need to feel, to be in contact with ourselves, and to empathize with other people and their feelings. And we also need to know the Lord has very strong feelings. So the first step, unbearable pain. Many people experience rejection and betrayal, curses and humiliation, even from childhood, sometimes before birth. Their father says, I don't want this child. The parents say, you're stupid, you're a failure, you'll never succeed, you're no good. And so they hear these things and they feel rejected. But we sense this as unjust, so we react with rebellion and anger. We want to hide from our perpetrators. We would rather be bigger than they are and defeat our opponents. At the same time, we feel powerless and afraid. We want to be small and disappear so they don't notice us and don't hurt us. Running away doesn't work. Most people can't run away from their enemies, and we're stuck. So how do I cope? I harden my heart. I reject my pain. I reject myself, and I reject my enemies. Second is ignorance. I don't want to experience more pain. I choose not to know how I feel. I refuse to see the reality of all that I am, good and bad, acceptable and unacceptable. So I lose touch with my dignity as a human created in God's image. When I reject my painful feelings, I also gradually lose all ability to feel. Good feelings become dull, boring, and forgotten. By denying painful emotions, I start to lose all emotional sensitivity. Third, alienation from God's life. I believe God was not there when I needed him. He did not protect me, defend me, or provide for me. I can't find him. I believe he has abandoned me, so I do not want to know him. In reality, God is always there because he cares. Normally, he does not intervene unless he's asked. Later, he can enter any evil experience or memory and bring divine healing and wholeness despite our circumstances. This is a miracle. This is what God calls his comfort. Fourth, my thinking becomes dark and biased. I reject the true and living God, so instead I substitute things, experiences, spirits that I try to manipulate into doing what I want, when I want it. Maybe I look to religion, family, alcohol, pornography, violence, thrill seeking, food, drink, trying to meet my needs. I want to be in control because I cannot trust God to be in control of my life. I do not know him as he truly is. I only have an image in my mind. Fifth, my plans don't work out. I believe I'm doing what is best for my life. I want to be a good person, like I'm trying to be. So why am I failing at the important things, the ones that give me the most satisfaction? People give me lots of advice, TV, social media, books, or lots of how-to books out there. So do I keep looking around? Is there some answer, some key? Or do I just try harder to do what I already try? The basic problem is I am my own God and I can't manage the world. I believe God's truth doesn't work for me. Certain areas of my life I have to run myself. I only let go of what I want him to do. So certain areas are okay for God, but the important thing. Sixth step, I just stop feeling. I'm numb. Stress is killing me. I'm bored with parties, sex, drugs, people, work, thrill seeking, money, power. Whatever. How can I tell if I am alive or dead? I cause myself some pain. So what do we see? People cutting, tattoos, piercings, sadomasochism, rough sex, even suffocation. Life becomes boring and death looks more attractive. Death doesn't scare me off or turn me off. Turns out I have lots of company in my numbness. Lots of people out there. Seventh, I indulge more and more without satisfaction. Christians may not indulge in all those condemned behaviors that those other people do. But a Christian counselor in Groton, Connecticut once told a group of pastors, your people have committed every sin that you can name. Christians have hidden sins or respectable sins like fear, pride, anxiety, stress. No wonder the outsiders look at Christians and say they're hypocrites. They don't live up to what they say. So my chosen behaviors do not meet my needs and I feel desperate and ashamed. Do I hide? Do I break out? Forget it all. Isolated and alone, I'm locked into my addictions. The eighth, final stage, I try more and more corrupt pleasures. My chosen behaviors don't satisfy anymore. They frustrate me. All of our pleasure sources lose their effectiveness. So we try greater intensity, greater variety, just to get the same old pleasure. Good pleasures look boring and old fashioned. They're just normal. They're just everyday. We're not thankful. We're not grateful. And so we just say that didn't work. So my search for stimulation becomes ungodly, negative, perverted, demonic. I may or may not know it's demonic, but the enemy is out there waiting for me to go his way instead of the ways of life. So I condemn myself for my powerlessness and corruption. I cause myself more pain, but more pain leads to more addiction, and so the cycle continues. There is redemption from pain and addiction. The Lord has compassion on us sinners. I need to have compassion on myself. I need to have compassion on sinners. We're all in the same boat. I want to see with the eyes of my heart, as Paul says. Jesus said, "He who sins is a slave to sin." Therefore, we are all addicts. We're all slaves. We are sin addicts. Whom do I see when I look around? Sick people? Criminals? Rejects and failures? No, we're all in this together. Christians and outsiders, successes and failures.